Hey everyone, welcome back to the Book Nook. Guess what? We've accomplished one of our goals. We set out to read at least 10 informational texts before the end of the course, and we've already accomplished that. Isn't that amazing? And I realized something else. I was just going through some of our previous lessons, and I realized how much new vocabulary we've learned. It's incredible how much we've picked up just by reading carefully. Take a look at some words I pulled from texts we've read. Mammals, marsupials, DNA, molecule, savanna, camouflage, pods, adaptation, so many new words. And we never even cracked open a dictionary. How's that possible? Let's think. What do you notice about the words we've learned? Because we're reading about living things like animals and their special features, the words we're learning are all related to that topic. Informational texts often introduce special vocabulary related to the topic you're reading about. And usually there are clues right in the text that help us figure out what these new words mean without having to go and look them up. Today, we'll practice determining the meaning of unknown words and phrases. As long as we look closely at the clues, we can usually determine the meaning of the words and phrases in informational texts. Let's look back at a paragraph of text about the jellyfish going to space. As I read, try to figure out the meanings of the words and phrases Aurelia aurita, polyps, and larval stage. In the experiment, scientists used a special type of jellyfish called Aurelia aurita, commonly known as moon jellyfish. These jellyfish were perfect because they are small and their development can be easily observed. The scientists collected jellyfish polyps, or young jellyfish. The scientists monitor the jellyfish from their larval stage, the earliest stage after hatching, to adulthood. All right, pause here and write down what you think each of these words or phrases mean. Did you come up with some ideas? Let's break this down together. First, look at the phrase Aurelia aurita, commonly known as moon jellyfish. Do you notice the clue the author provides to us to help us figure out what Aurelia aurita means? Let's underline the phrase, commonly known as. This is a clue that tells us Aurelia aurita is another name for moon jellyfish. All right, we found one example of a clue the author provides us to help us understand the meaning of a new vocabulary word. Let's keep going. Next, let's take a look at the word polyps. The author immediately follows this with or young jellyfish. How does the word or help us as readers? Sometimes the signal word or is used when giving a choice or options to choose from. But here the word or is used to provide a synonym or explanation. Isn't it interesting that a tiny word like or can be such a big clue for us? It's kind of like the author saying to us, hey readers, here's a new word for you. You could say polyps or you could also say young jellyfish. Those two mean the same thing. All right, one more to go. Finally, let's look at larval stage. This phrase is part of a sentence that says, their larval stage, the earliest stage after hatching, to adulthood. Pause here and underline the meaning of larval stage. Did you find it? It's right here, set between these two commas. This is how authors often include definitions of words directly in the text. The commas show the reader that a definition of the new word or phrase is included. So, how about those definitions you wrote down before we took a closer look at the clues the author left for us? Pause here and take a moment to update your definitions if you need to. Now, the zookeeper gave me a pamphlet about other science experiments done with animals. I bet there are some science vocabulary words in here, too. Let's read a piece of text from that pamphlet.
In a different experiment, scientists studied the behavior of Aphelicoma californica, better known as the western scrub jay. These birds were chosen because they have complex social behaviors.
The researchers observed the birds' caching behavior when animals hide their food to eat later. The scientists also studied the birds' territorial disputes, or fights, over their living areas. What new words and phrases stood out to you in this paragraph? You might have noticed these three: Aphelicoma californica, caching, and territorial disputes. Hey, since we've tried some vocabulary strategies together, how about you practice this one on your own? See if you can figure out the meanings of Aphelicoma californica, caching behavior, and territorial disputes using the hints provided in the text. Pause here and come back when you're ready. How'd you do? Let's break it down and find those definitions using the clues in the text.
First, look at Aphelicoma californica, better known as the western scrub jay. The phrase better known as tells us that Aphelicoma californica is another name for the western scrub jay. Authors can use phrases like commonly known as or better known as to describe a scientific word or phrase. Next, let's tackle caching behavior. The sentence says, the researchers observed the birds' caching behavior when animals hide their food to eat later. The phrase, when animals hide their food to eat later, is the clue here. It explains what caching behavior means and is offset by a comma. Remember, an author might use punctuation like a comma to let the reader know that a definition or explanation of a word is coming. Finally, let's look at territorial disputes. The text says, the scientists also studied the birds' territorial disputes or fights over their living areas. The word or is used here to provide a simpler synonym or explanation. Fights over their living areas is another way the author is describing the bird's behavior. How did you do? Take some time here to correct any definitions or add more detail if you'd like. Amazing job, everyone! Let's recap. Authors give us a few different clues to help us understand new words and phrases. First, they might give us the definition right in the text. They might also use punctuation, like commas, to help us know the definition is in the sentence. Sometimes they use signal words like or to let us know a synonym or a word with a similar meaning is being provided. Additionally, authors might include phrases like commonly known as or also known as to indicate that a word can be explained using another word. Keep these clues in mind as you read. As readers, we use the clues in the text to figure out the meanings of brand new science words related to animals and how they live. And from reading, we continue to learn about cool science experiments involving the amazing animals we share our worlds with. Remember, when you come across a word you don't know, look at the information around it. Authors often leave little hints to help you understand. It's like being a word detective, and you've got all the tools you need to solve the mystery. Have fun practicing some more with understanding words and phrases, and keep working on those goals. Looks like it's time for me to switch over to my writing goal. That's up next time on The Book Nook. Hey, hey.